You've been told the wrong things for far too long. They said if you just look confident, stay attractive, and say the right things, women will be drawn to you. But the truth isn't that shallow. What truly captivates a woman isn't your looks or even your charm. It's something deeper, something she can't name but she can feel. It's an energy, a frequency, a silent pull that reaches into her subconscious. And this message? It's about that invisible force. This isn't a dating hack video. It's not about silly tricks or 3 ways to flirt better. This goes beyond surface-level strategies. This is about why a woman genuinely becomes obsessed with a man, why she thinks about you at night, why just seeing your photo stirs something in her chest. If you don't understand this truth, you'll keep feeling confused by women's behavior. You won't understand why you're drawn to some, why others lose interest, or why you always feel like you're not enough, no matter how much you give, because the truth is, you've probably been trying to be what you think she wants, instead of recognizing what actually draws her in. Most women won't say exactly what they want, but they always feel what pulls them. And that pull comes from their unconscious mind, not their conscious preferences. So here's what you need to know. Attraction, the kind that shakes her soul, has very little to do with what you say or how you look, and everything to do with what you awaken in her. You're not attractive just because you're tall, rich, or confident. You're attractive because somehow you mirror a part of her she forgot existed, a part she buried, a need she never admitted. You hold up a mirror to a piece of her she hasn't faced in years, and that is powerful. At first, it might make you feel invincible. You might think, I'm doing something right. But here's the danger. If you don't keep your boundaries, if you lose yourself in the process, that connection will start draining you. Because to her, you're no longer a person, you become a symbol, a puzzle piece that fills her emptiness. And once that happens, you start fading, not from her life, but from your own identity. See, it's not just about whether she chooses you. It's about whether you start becoming the version of yourself that exists in her imagination. That's the trap so many men fall into. Without even realizing it, they start becoming who she wants to see, because it keeps her close. But eventually, you disappear under that mask. And the bond you built? It no longer belongs to the real you. Here's the hard truth. Women don't fall in love with you. They fall in love with what they see in you. They fall in love with the reflection of their own missing parts. And if you don't stay grounded, if you allow them to mold you into that fantasy, they will eventually stop loving you, not because you changed, but because you never really existed in the way they imagined. That's why you need to understand the 3 real reasons a woman can't resist a man. Not the reasons she tells her friends, but the ones she can't explain. And here's the first one. You awaken a forgotten part of her soul. When a woman feels an unexplainable pull toward you, it's not because of your looks or your confidence. It's because, in your presence, something in her stirs. Maybe a childhood feeling, maybe a long-lost sense of safety, maybe an emotional space she had sealed away. But when she's around you, she feels it again. This connection isn't just mental, it's emotional, physical, even spiritual. She doesn't just feel butterflies, she feels peace, ease, safety. With you, she can stop performing. She doesn't need to be the strong woman, the perfect mother, the ambitious worker, the understanding partner. With you, she can simply be. And that feeling, it's rare. You don't try to fix her, you don't push her. You just hold space. You listen without needing to rescue. You're calm when she's overwhelmed. And for the first time in a long time, she feels seen without being judged. Her face softens. Her breath deepens. Her guard lowers. She can't explain why she feels different around you, but she does. And it's not because you're her type, it's because you help her feel like herself again. You remind her of something she didn't even know was missing. Maybe the comfort she felt as a child. Maybe the attention she craved in her teenage years. Maybe the acceptance she's been chasing in adult relationships. She doesn't know what it is, but you activate it in her. And that makes you unforgettable. This isn't something she can describe to her friends. It's not a list of your good traits, it's a feeling. A quiet knowing that you matter. That somehow you've touched something in her no one else has. When a woman truly loves a man, it's not just because he makes her laugh or takes her out on dates. It's because, with him, she finally feels safe enough to face her own emotions. That kind of connection isn't just intimacy. It's a portal. It transforms her. Even the silent moments between you carry meaning. Even when you're not talking, the air feels different. And when she smiles more around you, it's not just joy, it's relief. The emotional weight she's been carrying starts to lift. Because you don't judge her, you don't try to change her, you accept her. And that is priceless. A woman who feels that level of peace with a man doesn't forget it. Even if she never says, "I miss you," she feels the absence of that peace when you're gone. And slowly, she finds her way back, not just to you, but to the version of herself she could only access around you. You don't make her feel small. You don't compete with her. You don't fix her. You just see her. And that, my friend, is something very few men understand how to do. There are moments when a woman, often without realizing it, begins to fear losing you. It's not always something you said or did, it's what you represent. You start to touch parts of her that she hasn't touched in years. That's when she may begin to test you. She might try to provoke you emotionally, act distant, or suddenly become unpredictable. She doesn't do this out of cruelty, it's instinct. She's trying to define you, fit you into something she can understand. Because in her mind, what she can define, she can control. But here's the thing, you're not someone she's met before. You don't fit the typical mold. And that's both fascinating and terrifying for her. So the games begin, not because she's manipulative, but because she's afraid. And as your emotional stability grows, her inner chaos becomes more visible. That's when you become more than just a man to her. You become a reflection, a mirror she never expected to face. But this transformation is not your responsibility. It's her journey. You're just the mirror, and not everyone is ready to look. Some women will step into that reflection and face themselves. Others will turn away. They might say you're too intense, too serious, and too much. But it's not you that's too much. It's their own buried emotions they're afraid of. And this is where many men fail. They change themselves to match her mood. But your power lies in staying still, being you, not flinching when the storm hits. Because the moment you start dancing to her chaos, you lose your core. And here's the truth. At this point, the attraction will either evolve into something real, or it'll fade. But if you remain centered, no matter the outcome, you haven't lost. Because women form the deepest bonds with the man who remains himself, calm, present, grounded. That kind of man doesn't trigger temporary feelings. He becomes a quiet imprint on her soul. Some women fall in love not because of the man's charm, but because of how they feel when they're with him. Peaceful, seen, whole. And that peace is born not from physical attraction or witty conversation, but from your inner alignment. That brings us to the third reason a woman can't let go. You become the man who helps her face herself. You don't do this by force. You don't guide her with lectures or commands. You do it with presence, with patience, with the kind of stillness that holds a sacred space, where her masks fall away on their own. You become the man who doesn't fix her, but makes her feel safe enough to fall apart and rebuild. This is not a small thing, because many women walk through life carrying emotional armor, trying to look strong, sound confident, stay in control. But beneath that armor is often a quiet longing, a tenderness they forgot they had. And when she's near you, that tenderness returns. You remind her of a side of herself that never got to speak. Maybe it was shut down as a child, silenced by expectation, or buried under survival. But with you, it whispers again. At first, she might feel confused. Then she feels peace. And then, slowly, the bond forms. Not just with you, but with herself. And that's the power of your presence. Because you didn't ask her to be more. You didn't want her to be less. You simply saw her, and she felt it. And that kind of emotional recognition is rare. It's unforgettable, but it's not always easy. Sometimes the emotions you stir in her are overwhelming. She may lash out, pull away, create distance, but if you don't react, if you stay steady, she eventually turns inward. And when she does, she begins to connect not just with you, but with who she truly is. You didn't force it. You didn't beg. You didn't chase. You didn't perform. And that's what draws her in. You had your own life, your own goals, your own rhythm. You offered her a place beside you, not the center of your universe. And that balance, that's magnetic, because what she's used to is extremes, being ignored or being smothered. But you're different. You gave her presence without pressure, space without distance, attention without expectation. And when she tested you, you didn't flinch. She raised her voice, you lowered yours. She created drama, you stayed still. She tried to provoke, you responded with silence, not noise. And in that silence, she felt something powerful. Admiration, respect, a desire to grow. Because for the first time, a man didn't react to her chaos. He held space for it. You weren't trying to impress her. You were showing her what stability feels like. And she'd never seen it before. That's why she can't forget you. Even if she walks away, even if time passes, somewhere inside she knows, that man changed me. And one day she might come back, not just because she misses you, but because she realizes the kind of man you are is not easy to find again. But here's the real question. When she does, will you still be standing in your truth? If yes, then you've become more than the man she once loved. You've become the man she deeply respects. Because women don't stay for excitement, they stay for presence. They stay for men who don't just hold their hands, but hold their center. And if you are that man, she won't need to say a word. You'll feel it. In her gaze, in her patience, in her presence. Women don't remember every word you say, but they never forget how you made them feel, and men like you. You're not easily replaced. You're not often found. You're not just remembered. You're felt forever.